On the 20th day after leaving Oliver, I ended a spontaneous trip. I arrived at a small town on the northeastern border, exhausted both physically and mentally. After checking in at the guest house, I asked the boss where there was good barbecue. Following the boss's recommendation, I strolled to the bustling street filled with the smell of smoke. Unexpectedly, I still had to wait in line. Finally, when a 4-person table became available, the waiter looked embarrassed and said, "Sir, are you dining alone? How about sharing the table with others? It would be a waste to give you this 4-person table." For a socially anxious person like me, these words were like a thunderbolt. "Theodore." Someone called my name from behind. I turned around in surprise, wondering who could call me by my name in this strange place. "I'm also alone. Let's share the table," said the tall and straight man with a smile on his face. He looked a bit familiar. I awkwardly rubbed the tip of my nose and said, "Sorry, I have a poor memory. Let's share the table and order first. I'll tell you slowly." As the skewers were served one by one, I remembered who he was as he told his story. 2 years ago, Oliver rented a villa in the suburbs to organize a grand party for his birthday. A senior who got along well with Oliver brought James to the party and introduced him to Oliver. At that time, James, as a guest, attracted a lot of attention because of his extremely handsome appearance and humorous personality, which made Oliver unhappy by the end of the party. I didn't notice it at that time. Now I realized that Oliver was mainly angry because the girl he had a crush on was chatting happily with James all the time. Unexpectedly, he remembered my name after just one encounter. What a coincidence. This place isn't a popular tourist destination, and it's not the peak tourist season either, yet we still managed to run into each other. I said after racking my brains for some small talk. James smiled but didn't say a word. He picked a skewer of sizzling and oily meat slices and put it in front of me. I quickly stuffed my mouth with food so as to avoid the awkwardness of having nothing to say. It seems that I'm not charming enough. After all, we spent 2 days playing in the same room, yet you didn't recognize me. It's not, I hurriedly explained. In my hurry, I bit my lip and gasped in pain. James laughed and said, "Just kidding. Don't be nervous." I gave him an apologetic look and took a sip of ice-cold beer to relieve the pain. At that time, all my attention was on Oliver. I didn't care at all about who was present. Moreover, all the people there were Oliver's classmates and schoolmates. I was just a school dropout running a nail salon in the university town. Our circles were different, so I didn't try to force myself into theirs. "Why did you think of coming here to play?" He slowly ate the skewers and casually asked. "There are a few people here. It's not that bustling, quiet, but still convenient enough." I answered seriously. "Isn't it better to go to a place full of nightlife to heal your wounds? You can see handsome guys everywhere with just a glance." I felt flustered as if my fig leaf had been torn off and accidentally knocked over the beer glass beside me. James grabbed a few tissues. When he was in a hurry to wipe it, he touched my hand several times. I awkwardly withdrew my hand and didn't know where to look. Even if I were stupid, I should have realized that this was not an accidental encounter. This man who was 3 years older than me sat across from me openly, but I felt that he was as dangerous as a hunting beast. "Theodore, can you give me a chance to help you heal your wounds?" I suddenly got a bit angry. Do I look like a promiscuous person? I glanced at the receipt, picked up my phone, and scanned the code to pay. "I'm treating. You can enjoy your meal slowly." When I got up to leave, James grabbed my wrist gently, keeping an appropriate distance. "I don't like taking advantage of others. Add me on WeChat and I'll pay you back." How can I believe that? If you don't like taking advantage of others, what are you pretending to be a healing master for? Breaking free from his hand, I opened WeChat and showed him the payment code. "Just give me 90. I'll waive the change." James let out a dumbfounded laugh. Adding someone on WeChat is now a social etiquette. How stingy. But he still obediently scanned the code and made the payment. I quickly fled and accidentally kicked over a few beer bottles scattered under the next table. I hurriedly apologized. "See you tomorrow, Theodore." James held his glass and gave me a bright smile. "Go to hell with you." When I got back to the room in the homestay, I sat on the sofa and took a while to calm down. "You're so useless. Can James eat you up?" I mocked myself in my heart, but I've always been useless. Otherwise, I wouldn't have followed Oliver around like a puppy for so many years and ended up leaving in a mess. Disappointedly, I checked WeChat, still no friend request from Oliver today. When he told me to keep my distance, I got emotional and rashly deleted his WeChat and blocked his phone number. It was just a willful act out of anger, but he wouldn't give me a way out and just let our 20-year friendship fall apart. Maybe he was already tired of my constant presence, just waiting for a good reason. Well, now he has a girl he likes, and I'm the pervert who has a crush on him. It's time to make a choice. Oliver is straight. I don't even have the right to blame him for not choosing me. I can only admit defeat alone and leave his life voluntarily. Maybe I walked too fast, or maybe I didn't eat enough, or perhaps, as an emotional organ, my stomach is conveying how sad I am when I think of Oliver. Anyway, I have a stomachache. I pressed my stomach, got up to boil water, and prepared to make a bowl of instant noodles. During the waiting process, I pulled open the curtain and could see the gentle lights of the small town lying under the night. Finding the right angle and adjusting the focus, I took a photo. I located my position, posted it on WeChat Moments, and added the caption, "I like this peaceful small town. See you at the Forest Sea Deer Park tomorrow." During these 20 days of leaving, I blocked my parents and relatives. I posted one WeChat moment every day, revealing my activity track. I have to admit that I still have expectations for Oliver. Can't the time we spent together from the age of 3 to 23 really be wiped out? Every day I fantasize that I will receive his friend request, answer a call he made by borrowing a phone, and see him appear where I am. Say to me, "Come back, Theodore." But no, there is nothing. We have so many mutual contacts. It would be a piece of cake for him to find me. He just doesn't want me to go back anymore. I can't help but open the phone album. Among the thousands of photos, most of them are of Oliver. It's really unfair. Clearly, it was a time when two people were involved together, but only my one-sided crush was brewed. With a click, the hot water was ready. Just as I was pouring water, the phone rang. It was an unknown number from City J. I trembled with my hand, and a few drops of hot water splashed on my hand, making me grimace in pain. "Hello?" My heart was pounding. So excited. "Who did you think it was?" A casual laugh came from the other end. It wasn't Oliver. "James?" I gritted my teeth. "How did you get my number? You've improved. You can already recognize my voice." A sense of shame at being flirted with welled up in my heart. I rolled my eyes and was about to hang up the phone. "Theodore, I forgot to tell you when we were having dinner." His voice suddenly became serious. "What?" I asked instinctively. "Get ready. I'm going to start chasing you." The next day, I woke up naturally. I simply tidied up and planned to go for a stroll in the nearby deer park. When it gets a bit colder, the grassy slope won't be green anymore. Moreover, when I have something to do, I won't feel so sad. There weren't many people at the scenic spot. I carried a plastic bag of wet corn kernels I bought at the entrance and walked inside. Not far away, James was sitting sprawled on a wooden chair by the road, showing his row of small white teeth and waving at me. What a pest. "Get ready. I'm going to start chasing you." The words James said on the phone last night echoed in my ears. My ears got hot and I instinctively wanted to turn around and run. "Hey, you paid for the ticket. Wasting it isn't what a good socialist youth does." James shouted at me. Several tourists looked at me curiously. I immediately lowered my head in embarrassment and walked forward, gritted my teeth. James came over warmly and walked with me. "Did you install a positioning system on me? Why do you follow me everywhere I go?" I said crossly. James smiled proudly and said, "When your big brother here pursues someone, he must show full sincerity and make a strong presence." With his thick-skinned attitude, I couldn't match him even if there were 10 of me. "Forget it. I'll admit defeat." "James, stop playing with me," I practically pleaded. James stopped walking and looked at me with a somewhat helpless expression. "Brother is serious, not playing with you." A gust of wind blew, messing up my bangs. James casually reached out his hand to tidy them up for me. "I know you still have feelings for Oliver in your heart. Don't worry. I'll keep pursuing you, and you take your time to sort out your feelings. For now, we can just be travel companions." I almost suspect that he is some kind of high-level agent. How come I know nothing about him? But he knows everything about me? "Quick, look. The deer are coming down the mountain." He was as excited as a child and jumped over, scaring the sika deer into running away immediately. I laughed. Soon, the bright autumn sun penetrated the thick, hanging clouds. The Tyndall effect appeared in the forest and on the grassy slope. I quickly took a photo. On the continuous greenery, the brown-yellow sika deer were strolling leisurely. James, who was feeding the deer, playfully reached out to tease them. Beams of light shone down from the sky, and the clear stream meandered by. The best photo for my WeChat moments today was born. After posting the photo, I put away my phone and started interacting with the gentle little deer. When 1/3 of the corn kernels in the bag were used up, my phone rang loudly. It was Henry, Oliver's roommate. I had a strong premonition that this time, I'd finally hear from Oliver. I answered the phone, and sure enough, it was him, Theodore. He called my name. "Yes, I'm here. Why are you with James?" I was stunned by this sudden interrogation and looked up at James. He probably annoyed the little deer. The deer suddenly rammed its head into his chest, making him stagger and plop down on the grass. And there was a lot of deer dung on the grass. He probably got his hands full of it and glared at the culprit with a disgusted look on his face. I couldn't help laughing again. Theodore, answer me. Oliver was a bit angry, his voice cold. He should have seen my new post on Henry's phone. It turned out that he had always been paying attention, but he would never give in, waiting for me to go back and make peace shamelessly. When he called, he didn't ask me why I deleted the contact information and left without saying goodbye, or where I had been and what I had done these days. He didn't ask about my return date. Instead, he interrogated me about why I was with James. What right do you have to interrogate me, Oliver? I sneered. As a friend? You're being a bit too nosy. Besides, you told me to keep my distance from you. I think it's highly likely that we can't even be friends anymore. You're right. I like men. I'm gay. James is handsome, has a good personality, and is nice to me. What's so strange about me going out to play with him? It was a very clumsy excuse. Oliver was the person who knew me best in the world besides my parents. He could not know that I was just saying angry words. All I wanted was for him to be a bit softer, to leave a place for me by his side, to lower his stance, and to wave me back. But he snorted and replied to me, "You can even say such things. How disgusting." The person who used to fight for me, wait for me to go to school and back home every day, and carry me on his back and run, called me disgusting. I hung up the phone. I don't know when James had already stood beside me. He handed me a tissue and said, "Wipe your face." Poor thing. I wiped away the tears that I didn't know when they had flowed and pushed his hand away, saying, "Get it away. Hands that have touched shit. Aren't they dirty?" I wiped them with wet wipes. I wiped them. James explained anxiously. "They're just dirty." James suddenly hugged me and rubbed his hands all over me regardless, saying, "Okay, now you're dirty too, shit-smelling Theodore." I blushed and tidied up the clothes that he had messed up. "You're so cute. You blush when I tease you a little." James leaned over with a sneaky look, and a bright smile spread across the corners of his eyes and brows. The stuffy feeling that had been blocking my chest suddenly dissipated. At 11 o'clock, I pulled James back to the room, probably because the emotions had piled up to the peak. I suddenly wanted to go crazy. When I clumsily kissed James's face randomly, he pushed me away. I got angry and shouted at him, "You've been teasing me for so long. Isn't this what you want?" James impatiently ran his hands through his crew cut and said, "Can't you understand human language?" I said, "I'm courting you, not sleeping with you." "Why do you think you can court me?" "Because I fell in love with you at first sight 2 years ago. I arranged for my cousin to work as a manicurist in your shop to pass messages for me, and contacted my junior to keep an eye on Oliver at school. Theodore, our meeting here is not a coincidence. I've planned it carefully and gone through a lot of trouble to get in front of you." I was suddenly speechless. If you think sleeping with someone casually can make you forget about Oliver, bro is willing to accompany you. He took off his coat and forced me onto the bed. "Wait." I reached out and pressed against his chest. "I was wrong, bro. You just start the fire and don't put it out? No one acts like this." He put his arm around my neck and gave me a hard kiss on the lips. I was so scared that I froze and forgot how to resist. She even prepared herself to be forced to deal with the aftermath. But James stopped. He stepped back, licked his lips, and said, "Kid, if you dare to mess around again, it won't be just a kiss." I didn't dare to say a word. James plopped down on the sofa, crossed his legs, and angrily poked at the phone screen, saying, "What do you want to eat for lunch?" My mind is in a complete mess right now. It would be a miracle if I could think of what to eat. After waiting for a long time without getting a response, James stood up and said, "Come on, let's go to the wet market. I'll cook for you at noon." "Bro," I didn't move and stared at James. "What? Do you want me to carry you there?" James pretended to reach out. "James, I have a gentle and introverted personality. Over the years, Oliver is the only real friend I've had. I've followed him like a shadow from kindergarten all the way to high school. I couldn't go to the same university as him because my grades were too poor, but in order to stay by his side, I refused to go to the junior college I was admitted to and used the money my parents left for my college education to open a nail salon near his school. In terms of friendship, Oliver is almost my whole world. Even my first love was placed on him." James put away his cynicism and looked at me with a serious face. "In a short period of time, I can't make myself completely forget him and fully accept a new person into my life. Do you still want to help me get over it? It might take a long time." James checked into the guest house where I was staying. We went climbing, camping, fishing, hiking, playing games, visiting the wet market, and checking out scenic spots together. As winter in northeast China became more and more severe, James's business partner called him. In a fit of anger, He said, "Hey, James, you've been chasing your love for almost 2 months. Can you make it or not? I don't care. If you don't come back, I'll run away with the money." James spoke softly and swore to go back the day after tomorrow. "What about you?" he asked me. "I'll go back too. It's too cold outside. I can't even go out. Staying in the homestay every day is quite boring. I'm thinking about selling my nail salon and then figuring out what to do next." James stopped his hand while clearing the plates. "Why sell it? The customer source in the university town is stable, and you can make a fortune every day. Time is indeed the best medicine to heal everything. Or perhaps, the better cure is the company of someone. When it comes to Oliver again, I'm quite calm. I opened this shop back then to be closer to Oliver. Now, if I run into him often, it'll be rather awkward." James sneered. "The world has become a global village. Where can you hide? Besides, you didn't do anything wrong. Why give up making good money? Are you stupid? I'm not hiding," I immediately retorted. James crossed his arms and looked at me with a smile. "Oh? Then what is it? Could it be that you're afraid I'll mind?" Then I grabbed the pillow on the sofa and threw it at his head. "Stop being so conceited." Before I could throw another one, James had already squatted down in front of me. He tilted his head slightly and stared at me intently. "It's been almost 2 months. May I ask, sir, how effective have I been?" I shifted my gaze a little, hugged the pillow, and nervously curled my fingers. "It's a bit effective." It took effect much faster than I expected. James moved closer. The nice smell of laundry detergent on him wafted into my nostrils, and I couldn't help but feel a flutter in my heart. "Then it seems I have to redouble my efforts." His tone became gentle, and his hot breath hit my chin. It was a bit itchy, on my chin and in my heart. "Theodore, considering that I've been doing my best and abiding by morality during this period, can I get a little reward?" James has a strong, featured face, with a very striking and handsome appearance. But when he put away his casual air and looked at someone devoutly, people would unconsciously be immersed in his tenderness. I wanted to back away, but my body seemed to be under a spell and couldn't move an inch. I could only refrain from meeting his eyes that were gradually filled with longing. "Theodore, just a little one will do." His tone was extremely soft. So is my heart, somehow. I leaned forward and kissed his lips, pulled away and said, "Keep adding." Before I could say oil, James had already pressed on me. As our lips and tongues intertwined, our breaths were hot and burning. Suddenly, he pushed me away and turned to walk towards the bathroom. While walking, he said, "Theodore, please go to my room and wait for a while. Please." I instantly understood what he was going to do and rushed out of the door as if fleeing. When I returned to City J, it felt like a lifetime had passed. I cleaned the rented apartment thoroughly and contacted the landlord to stop renewing the lease. James was right. A good business can't just be abandoned. But I won't renew the lease for this apartment that's so close to Oliver. When I got back to the shop, the manicurist Mateo kept trying to probe me with a sly smile on his face. Those travel routes and check-in destinations I posted on my WeChat moments were originally meant for Oliver to see. This guy sold them all to James. Yeah, there's no such thing as a chance encounter. It was all arranged by James with money. "If you act as a spy again, I'll fire you." I pretended to be angry and threatened him half seriously. Mateo smiled and put his hands up in surrender. "Boss, spare my life for the sake of my good skills." I didn't meet Oliver again, even though the shop was located on the busiest commercial street in the university town. It shows that even if the world is small, it can't withstand deliberate avoidance. The girl that Oliver has a crush on came to the shop once. She greeted me actively. "Theodore, it's been a long time since I last saw you. I heard from Oliver that you went on a trip." I simply responded with a few words. "Did Oliver tell you? We're already in a relationship." She smiled sweetly, as if overflowing with happiness. "Congratulations to you too." I wasn't as sad as I had imagined. There wasn't even the slightest ripple in my heart. "Beauty, choose a style quickly. There are still customers waiting behind." Mateo seized the opportunity and ended this conversation for me. After she left, Mateo curled his lips and said, "Boss, she comes here every few days. Either she wants to change the nail style or remove the nail polish. She's been causing a lot of trouble. Every time, she deliberately or inadvertently asks about your news. I can't help but suspect that she has a crush on you. She must mind me, the childhood friend who used to stick to Oliver's side. That proves that she really likes Oliver. This is quite good. The person Oliver loves also loves him truly. The bitter, unrequited love staged here with me can end silently." The college students are on winter vacation, and so am I. When I got home, my mom said in surprise, "Why didn't you come back with Oliver this time?" I casually perfunctorily replied, "He has something to do. Is he waiting for his girlfriend?" My mom immediately perked up. I heard from Mia that Oliver has a girlfriend and is going to bring her back to meet the family during the spring festival. That's quite good. Mia must be very happy, of course. Which mother-in-law to be isn't happy? Son, how about you? Do you have someone you like? I raised my hands in surrender. Dad, please control your wife. Can't she stop talking about this as soon as we meet? My mom punched me gently. You can't be outdone by Oliver in finding a girlfriend, right? I thought for a while and said, Mom, I'll definitely find someone better than his girlfriend. It was just wishful thinking, but it still made my mom overjoyed. Mom is waiting. Well, being taller and stronger than his girlfriend also counts as being better, right? I was amused by my own thought and turned around to go back to my bedroom to send a message to James. Then his call came in right away. What should I do? On the first day without seeing you. I already miss you so much. Sure enough, it fits the deadly nickname I gave him, like a dog, skin plaster. So clingy. Just work hard as a wage slave. If you borrow money from me again when we go out to play in the future, I'll block you. That was just an accident, okay? There was a little problem with the capital turnover, and it's already been solved. Don't worry, bro can support you. How funny. I have hands and feet and my own shop. Do I need you to support me? On the other end of the phone, someone was urging James to go to a meeting. Go quickly and earn money well. James gave a loud kiss into the microphone. You hang up first. I felt a tightness in my chest. My mind also suddenly went blank. I couldn't help but call out to him, James, let's be together. That night, James flew over. He pressed me onto the soft hotel bed and kissed me densely. You deliberately made me distracted and impatient, right? I originally wanted to wait a little longer. I didn't expect things to progress so rapidly. We agreed it would be a long-term treatment, but I ended up surrendering first. But before hanging up the phone, the overwhelming longing made me lose my mind. Theodore, is the treatment over? His voice was deep, full of desire. Yes, the effect is very good. I stroked his side face gently. His hand on my waist tightened. Actually, I think we need more in-depth treatment to consolidate the effect. The next day, I returned home exhausted. My mom muttered, I never noticed you had other good friends before. You even went to someone's place to play games all night. Look at those dark circles under your eyes. Go and catch up on your sleep right away. I obeyed and immediately went into the bedroom. James had already boarded the plane. He really left right after having his fill. I buried my head under the pillow, and the madness of last night played back messily in my mind. The in-depth treatment, the effect, was very good. I couldn't hold back the smile on my lips and fell asleep in a daze. When I woke up, it was already 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I reached for my phone. There were more than 20 unread messages from James. I've landed. I miss you again. Baby, what are you doing? Are you asleep? Sorry, it was hard on you. I'll be more careful next time. Honey, baby, after being busy for another 10 odd days, I'll be on vacation. I'll come to you for more in-depth treatment. I called him. He answered in a second. Baby, you finally talked to me. I just woke up. There was a moment of silence on the other end. Let me tell you, it's immoral to flirt around in a long-distance relationship. I laughed. Your voice isn't hoarse after just waking up? I was wrong. It won't take more than 10 days. I'll make time to see you in between. No need, bro. You should focus on your work. Son, are you awake? Come out and have something to eat. Don't ruin your health. Outside the door, my mom shouted loudly. I responded and lowered my voice. Let's stop here. My mom is calling me to have a meal. I'm really hungry. Okay, go quickly. Say hello to my mother-in-law for me. Get lost. There was only 1 day left until Chinese New Year's Eve. The cherries that my mom had bought through a group purchase in the neighborhood finally arrived. I was ordered to pick them up. Coincidentally, Oliver and his girlfriend were also holding hands and had come to the supermarket. I calmly greeted them. Theodore, what a coincidence. The other day I was saying that I wanted Oliver to invite you out to play, but he said you were busy and didn't have time. His girlfriend tightened her grip on his arm and said with a big smile. I glanced at Oliver. I've been so busy running around at my mom's behest that I haven't had a moment to spare. Oliver even took me to your old school. I really envy you for having been a part of so much of his life. I smiled and said, what's the big deal? Everyone has a past. The important thing is the future. Theodore, let's have a chat. Oliver pulled his arm out of his girlfriend's hand. You go inside and have a look first. I'll come to find you later. Then he unceremoniously pushed his girlfriend into the supermarket. It had been some time since I last saw Oliver. He had changed a bit. His once bright eyes looked a bit downcast, and he had lost some weight. Let's talk quickly. My mom is waiting to eat cherries. Can you stop acting like this? Oliver's tone was a bit aggrieved. You deleted my contact information. If I don't reach out to you, can't you add me back on your own? I just asked you to keep a distance, not to disappear completely, right? This was Oliver. He was used to being in control of my world. Even if he was in the wrong first, he would never be the first to admit his mistake. I always had to accommodate him. Indeed, those who were favored act recklessly. It's a pity that I've taken back this favor. Have you lost your mind because of love? Oliver, don't forget that I left on my own initiative. Even if it was to make you jealous and get your attention at that time, it's all in the past. I paused for a moment and then said, don't worry, there's no place for you in my future plans. Goodbye, childhood friend. On the 6th day of the first lunar month, James came to my house to pay New Year greetings. Oh, this child, you could have just come to play. Why did you bring so many things? My parents welcomed him in and were very happy, especially my mom. She stared at James with sparkling eyes and said, son, when did you make such a handsome friend? Look at this young man. He's so energetic. James had a thick skin and was not at all shy. He played the cue card and coaxed my mom into fits of laughter. I wonder if my mom would still be able to laugh if she knew that he was not just a friend but also my boyfriend. That night, I said I would take James to the famous Danglong Mountain here to watch the sunrise the next morning. My mom happily let the two of us go out. Well, we couldn't climb the mountain at all. The two of us hid in a hotel and poured out our longing for each other with great effort. It was only when I begged for mercy that James called it quits and spared me for the time being. Shoulder to shoulder, we went to the night market for a late night snack. In the hustle and bustle of the world, two hearts were bubbling with happiness. While having dinner, a young lady at the next table kept looking at us. I was a bit annoyed and whispered, hey, rein in your charm. Don't attract others. James was very helpless. He turned to the young lady and said, beauty, no WeChat, no making friends. Thank you. The young lady covered her mouth and laughed. No, I don't mean that. I just think you two are a perfect match. I've been secretly shipping you. Be happy. Realizing this, I felt a bit embarrassed. James smiled generously and even praised the young lady for having good taste. On our way back, I couldn't help asking James, at that time, what did you see in me? James' gaze became distant as he recalled the situation at that time. You were very quiet, so out of place in the noisy and bustling atmosphere of the party. I found it very interesting and thought you must be an interesting kid. I couldn't help but keep an eye on you. Then I saw through your feelings. You were sitting beside Oliver, always looking at him affectionately, with stars twinkling in your eyes. At that moment, I couldn't control my jealousy. I thought, why doesn't such a beautiful look belong to me? I felt a sweet sensation in my heart and said, then if I hadn't left Oliver on my own initiative, when would you have ended this one-sided love? I don't know. Anyway, when the time was right, I'd always break the ice. Sweetie, Big Brother has his eye on you. You can't escape. James reached out to put his arm around my shoulder and pulled me closer to him. What are you doing? There are people on the street. What time is it? Where are there any people? There are surveillance cameras. You might as well say there's God. I couldn't help but laugh out loud and look at the clear night sky. Thank Faye for letting us meet. After the winter vacation, I moved into a new apartment. James complained, why waste this money? Just live at my place. You don't know how to manage your life. You don't understand. This is called maintaining an appropriate distance to keep the love fresh. James had just finished moving things, his hands dusty, and with a mischievous grin. He rubbed against me. You've grown? Huh? Who's got you acting like this? All this nonsense. Brother, I was wrong. I admitted my mistake in time, with a good attitude, in case things took an inappropriate turn before we finished the main business. Only then did James grunt in satisfaction and continue to go downstairs to move things. I took a photo of the storage boxes piled in a mess all over the room and posted it on WeChat Moments with the caption, a shiny new life begins. I set the location and posted it. Unexpectedly, Oliver showed up a few days later. Mateo called me with a crying voice. Sorry, boss. Your childhood friend was like a man-eater, forcing me to tell him your address. I chickened out. James happened to be beside me. He snatched the phone and said, you traitor. I'm not buying you that bag I promised. No, brother. James hung up the phone decisively and kept a straight face without saying a word. I found it funny and said, it's not that serious. Let's see what he's here for. James reached out and hugged me and said, Theodore, are you sure you're completely cured? I patted his back and said, of course. We've had so many in-depth treatments. The consolidation effect is excellent. I'm guaranteed never to have a recurrence in my life. While I was still trying my best to comfort, the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and Oliver stood at the door with red eyes. If you want to find me, you could have just borrowed a phone to call me. There's no need to trouble others. I stood at the door and said to him without intending to let him in, I broke up, Oliver said with a bit of a sob. I was stunned for a moment. Didn't he take his partner home during the spring festival? How could they break up so soon? For someone he's been longing for, does he not cherish them after getting together? Theodore, I should be happy. You're no longer clinging to me, and the person I like doesn't have to mind your existence anymore. But why am I not happy? You left without a word, and I'm going crazy. I've been relying on my roommate's moments to follow your news every day, thinking that you'd come back to me when you were in a good mood. Why, Theodore? I've waited for you for so long, but you never came back. Is he out of his mind? He looks like I'm a heartbreaker who abandoned him, but it was him who evaded my feelings, kept me at a distance, and said I was disgusting. Oliver cried and leaned forward, trying to give me a hug. Theodore, I'm sorry. I realized too late and missed you. Before his hug reached me, James leaned out from behind me and pulled me into his arms. I said, Junior, isn't it a bit inappropriate to confess in front of someone's boyfriend? Oliver was stunned for a moment and then got angry from embarrassment. I've known Theodore since childhood. How long have you been around? He's just angry with me and got together with you despite me. You're just taking advantage of my vulnerability. James was so angry that he laughed instead. Idiot. Oliver swung a punch at me, and I reached out to stop him. Oliver, listen carefully. I did like you, really liked you, but you pushed me away. Now I'm with James. It's not to spite you. It's just because I love him. Oliver, I don't like you anymore. Whether it's friendship or love. Oliver was on the verge of collapse. Impossible. We've accompanied each other for 20 years. How could you stop liking me just like that? Yes, sometimes I also find it strange. That long-standing and firm habit was actually broken so quickly and completely because of the appearance of a person. Theodore, I really made a mistake. I love you. James tightened his arms and asked me, Baby, can I punch him? I slammed the door shut, shutting Oliver out. Then I looked up and kissed the agitated James. As if getting some kind of encouragement, James pushed me hard against the door and pressed himself firmly against me, kissing me passionately. Theodore, open the door. Theodore. My back shook violently as Oliver was pounding on the door. In front of me, James grinned wickedly and reached out to grab me. I lost control of my jaws and let out a cry. The sound behind me suddenly stopped. Oliver, if you don't get out of here, I can't guarantee what you'll hear. James threatened fiercely. I paid the liquidated damages and moved into James' house. Only then did he calm down a bit and stop torturing me relentlessly. Baby, do you think Oliver was really turned gay by you? Or is he just a closeted gay who doesn't realize it? What a perverse interest. Discussing former rivals in love after the fact. But if I just casually perfunctory him, he'll definitely keep going on and on. It might even lead to another fierce fight. I can't stand it. I think he might just be unable to accept that I'm no longer revolving around him. After all, for so many years, it wasn't just me who got used to it. James snorted. He's been spoiled and developed bad habits. I didn't want to talk about Oliver anymore, so I changed the subject. By the way, my mom called me the other day and asked if you'd go home with me during the tomb sweeping festival. James looked completely confused. What do you mean? Going to your place to play? No, it's to officially introduce you to the family, I said with a smile. James was lying against the edge of the bed. He sat up so suddenly that he fell off the bed and couldn't even speak. Is introducing to the family what I think it is? Is our mom know? Is Andy's thinking so open-minded? Deep-seated affection can't be hidden. Not long after the spring festival, my mom tentatively asked about my relationship with James. I took a deep breath and admitted it. Unexpectedly, my mom wasn't surprised at all. I knew it. You two don't look like just ordinary friends. When James looked at you, his eyes were like a dog eyeing a bone. Crude as it may sound, it makes sense. I said sorry to my mom. There's nothing to be sorry about. You're in a relationship, not doing something as bad as murder or arson. I can't have children to carry on the family line. You and Dad will be looked down upon by others. My mom laughed heartily. I'm so glad I don't have to take care of grandchildren. I can enjoy my retirement. As for other people's opinions, does it matter, son? In this life, being able to manage your own life and be happy is already remarkable. Your dad and I have no other wishes. As long as you're safe, healthy, and happy, that's better than anything. No wonder she's my mom. Did Mom really say that? James jumped up excitedly. I nodded. Okay, I'll go during the tomb sweeping festival. Why just introduce me to the family? I'll take my parents with me and have a meeting of the parents-in-law. After saying that, James pounced on me again. For such a happy thing, we must celebrate. I quickly pulled the quilt tightly. Get lost? You're like an animal. Who are you telling to get lost? Call me husband and let me hear it. She turned her head and ignored him. He smirked and said, Little thing, I can't handle you.